our big project this week is coming up with three development strategies here. So I bring up the template right away. So we're not just saying, how do you want to build it? We're saying you need to propose to us both insourcing and outsourcing, as well as a hybrid proposal. And based off of your project, it may or may not fit well in any of these categories, but you got to do it. You got to do all three of them here. You got to at least make the case for all three of them. And so there's not a lot of detail of what it should look like. Again, there's no template for this stuff. There's going to be based off of your business and how they want to make decisions. And you might not even be part of making these decisions early in your career, but you could be. Certainly you want to understand that these decisions are going on and how they can impact you and have reflection of what you're going to do. So for the solution we have going on, we've been talking about this inventory management system. So our insourcing proposal is going to be all about how we're going to build our application. So when we come here, again, we don't need this stuff. It's just some preparing stuff. But we want to start with a general description. So for our project, we will build custom website and mobile app using the requirements and design created earlier to fulfill each business need, blah, 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 blah. So I can't spell. So you get the idea. You're going to be telling us what we're going to do here. And this one's pretty easy because you probably have proposed this already. Now, there's a small chance you were proposing an outsourcing proposal beforehand. You could be talking about a networking solution or something like that. There's a small chance, not likely, but assuming you're talking about custom development software up above, then you're basically don't need to describe this first one all that much. You're just saying, hey, this is what we were talking about up above. What we do want to do then is start to break out the work that's going to need it done. So we can say work overview or something like that. And we can do it as informal as we need, but not so informal that it's out there. Now, this is one of those cases where I will say to you, the use of tables or bullet points is most appropriate. So there's sometimes, many times, I'll say to you, we need words. We need to describe this in long form. Bullet points and and lists and things like that don't make an argument. They don't make a discussion. They're facts. Well, here that's exactly what we want is facts. So the work overview is going to be probably phase by phase. So we can say we have the requirements phase. So the work here is along the lines of internal development of need, and we could say 5 weeks of work, whatever that guess would be inside of there. Then the design phase comes up, full solutioning. Full solution built by our architecture and design teams. We'll say it's 3 weeks of architecture and 5 weeks of design. And then implementation is internal coders, and maybe that's a 12 weeks inside of there. We have testing, full end-to-end, and then we can give you more detailed here. We have unit testing, and that's going to say we'll do 3 weeks of unit testing. And we have integration, which is a week. And then we have system testing, which we'll say is a month. And UAT, which we'll give a week for, and performance, which we'll give 2 weeks for. And then post-checkout, which is 1 day. Okay, we give a good feel for it. Again, we're just giving a high-level feel. What's going to go on here? As we would refine this, if we really wanted to be super formal, we would guess the number of people that's going to be involved on this. We'd be coming up with some numbers. I'm just doing this bullet points. You could be keeping track of all that in a table here as well. And then release is going to be internal deployment policy, and that's going to be, let's just call it 60 hours of work across 3 teams. So whatever that's going to be. So we're coming up with a number. And so the work overview is the total effort is 5, let's say there's 2 developments, there's 2 requirements phase people, so there's 10 weeks of there, and the architecture is 1 person, so that's 13. Design is 4 designers, so that's 20, so that's 33. So we had 4 designers, we'll say there's 4 coders, so added another 48, so that's 51, 91, and then another 12 weeks for unit testing because we have 4 people there, so 105. Again, you can see how a table would be good, be able to add this up as you go. So whatever it is, let's say there's 178 man weeks of effort, something like that. Okay, so that's our in-source proposing. So we want to also talk about the pros of this. So full customization per requirements, ownership and control, whatever the intangibles are inside of that. I'm just giving a few of them. You've seen a good list of them from the previous video. And then the cons is similar here, where it's slow delivery time to market, many new technologies, whatever it would be inside of there. There's other negative effects. So there's our insourcing proposal. This forms the first step that we would go there, and this is, again, a very rough, quick and dirty draft. Your proposal isn't going to take you 7 minutes to get started with here. What I'm trying to give you is a structure. Your proposal really should be breaking down, as we said in the videos before, the actual business functions that's going on. So I'm giving you requirements phase, everything 5 weeks. How did I come up with that 5 weeks number? I probably am at a point in my career, if I say 5 weeks off my gut, it's probably 5, 6 weeks, because I've been doing this for 20 years. You probably, getting your bachelor's degree in this, maybe have less experience to draw from. Some of you might probably have experience. I'm not trying to take anything away from anything of you. You might need to break it down a little bit more. And for this assignment, I don't care if you have 40 years of experience, you need to break it down a little bit more. So I'm expecting you to see the next level past this. I expect you to have this, maybe a summary up here, but you would have broken this down into web is 3 weeks, and admin is 2 weeks, and so on and so forth. Each of these should probably have some level of everything broken down to give us that detail. Sorry, I had a sneeze coming on right there. To give us that level of detail, that we can see how you built up to that high number. If you don't do that, I'm going to ding you a little bit. Because I need to see how you're getting to these numbers. I need to see how you're coming up with this. And most importantly, I want to see the requirements and the design work and the testing work you've done before, how that informs your insourcing and outsourcing proposal. There should be an alignment between what you wrote in requirements and what we're seeing in the requirements estimation, what you've done in your design and what we're seeing in the design phase. You almost never do all the estimation without ever having looked at anything. If somebody has you doing that, they really want a very rough guess, and you should always work on a project to give better estimates. You should have some time to look at it. All right, so this is the first stage. I'd like you to take the structure and start your insourcing proposal. Get a start on that. And then we'll come back and we'll look at the other two. They're going to be much the same structure. We'll talk about what's maybe slightly different in those two approaches, how they might be vary a little bit, but we'll give you a feel for those two, and then you'll be in good shape and off for this week's work.